Jagrata, Jai Masters. It isn't until you transcend the mind, get some distance from the mind, that you can understand the mind. You don't have perspective. You're thrashing around in it, drowning, trying to find some safety, trying to find some solidity. It's just the ocean you're in. It's just the disturbance that you're dealing with. When you stand behind the mind, meaning not that you're controlling the mind or stopping the mind, you are at all times aware, I'm here and it's there. It's doing its thing. The mind is doing its thing. It has nothing to do with me. It's just a talking head. It's just a noise-making machine. It's a thought-creating machine. From that seat, we call the seat of witness consciousness, the seat of objective observation, Krishnamurti used to call it, the seat of clarity. You can look down and you see what makes you human. You see where you've been. You see the disturbance of mind, and you see that you used to be in there trying to do something about it, causing more trouble. Or you can let go and get pulled up. That's seat of witness consciousness. That's not enlightenment. That's not even a high state. It's high compared to being lost in the mind. Like if you're drowning in the water and you get out of the water to stand on the land, that's nice compared to drowning, but you're not doing anything. You're just standing on the land. You didn't get any worse. That's witness consciousness. You have transcended the noise, which we'll talk about how and what, and you're just there. You're not doing anything. You're just being. You don't have to try. If you open your eyes and look at something, how hard do you have to try to see it? It's a funny question, isn't it? It's effortless. That's what it's like to sit and witness consciousness. You're not meditating. You're not willfully doing positive thinking. You're not doing anything. Just the same as when you look at something, you're not doing anything. You're just, there it is, and there you are. You see it. Why don't you see your mind that way? There you are, and there it is. That's the seat of clarity. That's the seat of objective observation. So you call it nowadays, they call it mindfulness. I don't know why, because you're not full of the mind. Before you were very full of the mind. But anyways, that's the term we use. Everybody's got different. But mindfulness, objective observation, witness consciousness, they're really all talking about the same thing, which is, are you in that mind, reacting to it, lost in it, trying to fix it, trying to stop drowning, or have you taken your seat behind it? It still can do what it does, but you're not participating in it. It's just something you're looking at. That is an effortless state. That's how you can tell that you're actually approaching witness consciousness. People struggle to try to attain witness consciousness when in reality what they're doing is trying to create a place in their mind that thinks it's watching, and it has to struggle to do that. I'm telling you that the more you grow, it is exactly the same as when you open your eyes and see what's in front of you. Except what's in front of you is your mind. You're in here, it's inside. It's just talking. It's just doing its thing. It has nothing to do with you. There's no effort. There's no anything. That's what they mean by just being. So you're conscious, you're there, and your mind is doing its thing. If you go down into the mind, you're going to get all involved in what it's doing. If you let go, over time, there is a force that still has nothing to do with you. It's just there, that will start to pull you back deeper from where you were sitting. The mind pulls you into it. The Shakti pulls you out. And it just starts pulling you out. Maybe you never noticed that there was a force in there. Of course not. You're too involved with the mind. It's drowning. It's a problem. There's an issue. I mean, God, there's always something going on in the mind they have to deal with. So because you're busy dealing with the mind, you can't experience the Shakti. And we'll talk about how to get there, when you are comfortably sitting behind the mind, not out of effort, but just because that's where you are. You are sitting behind the mind. Then you will start to feel an energy pulling you in. That is spirit. That is Shakti. That is the chi rising up. And it starts to pull you back. And then you'll find that you can only go so far because you're still attached, your consciousness is still attached to things that are going on in your mind or your heart. And those attachments, literally it's an attachment. If I attach you, I tie a rope to you, or a bungee cord. I've attached to it. So the consciousness is not really attached. Just like when you're watching TV, you have nothing to do with that TV. You're sitting in the couch 6 feet away. But you get attached, don't you? You start crying, you get all emotional. You can't, don't turn it off. No, not right now. It's like, what's the stupidest thing in the world? There's nothing going on. But you have projected your consciousness onto the object of consciousness. That is so important to understand that. Your awareness of being got pulled into what you're looking at. That consciousness can do that. It can identify and get involved with the object of consciousness. So in a TV, when you do that, you're no longer sitting on the couch. You no longer have a family. You no longer have a job. It's just what's going on that TV has captured your consciousness. So it has attached you to it. And all of a sudden, the whole of your being is involved in what has nothing to do with you. The TV has nothing to do with you. It's just pictures on a screen 6 feet away. But you do get involved, don't you? That's because consciousness projects its sense of being. Listen to me. You are consciousness. That's who you are. Hi. You in there? Hi, hello. You just say, yeah. Who are you that I'm talking to? Your awareness of being. You're aware that I'm talking to you. That awareness of being, if it focuses on something outside itself, be it a thought, an emotion, or a TV or form outside, starts to identify with what it's looking at. It's like you are the identity of you, but when you put you onto something other than you, it starts to take on the quality. You start to think, that's my car. I mean, let's just do it right. Who's willing to do this? Just for 1 hour, do it right, okay? There's this car in the showroom. It has nothing to do with you. Or maybe it's even a used car. It's even better. It belongs to somebody else. It has nothing to do with you. Nothing. It's been there for years and years. People scratched it, drove it, did this, did that, all kinds of things went on in the car, smoked in it, did all kinds of stuff, all right? All of a sudden, you write a check. It's just a piece of paper. You rip off the check, and you give it to that person. And all of a sudden, it's your car. Don't sit on it. Take your shoes off. No smoking in my car. Who put that? That scratch wasn't there before. What? Ooh, let us talk about that. What is that all about? How did that happen? The car has no more to do with you 1 second ago than 1 second after. It's what it is. It's the same as what it is. But you projected your sense of identity onto the car, and that's how long it takes, a second. A billionth of a second, and all of a sudden, that car has something to do with you, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. But your awareness of being focused on it and made it part of yourself. It's my image. It's my car. I don't like your car. Well, I don't like you. It's like, wow, you have to take that in slow motion to see what that's all about. You're inside. How could anything outside have anything to do with you? You're inside, aren't you? Hi, you've been in there for a long time. But you project your sense of self onto objects that you see. And you project your sense of self even more so onto your emotions and onto your thoughts, because they are closer to you. They are inside with you. If somebody does that, and it happens with your car, and then somebody scratches the car, and you get all upset, and all of a sudden your mind says, calm down, it's okay, you can handle this, it was going to get scratched eventually, now it's over with, this is a good thing. All of a sudden you feel better. You identify more with your thoughts. Those are not you talking. Those are your thoughts. Those are thoughts being created in your mind. You are the one who is aware that that thought is going on. But you are so aware of it that it's like you being sucked into the TV or the movie. You're so aware of it that you think you're it. You don't feel a separation between you who's watching the thought and the thought. Do you? Sometimes you do. Tell everybody, there is no such thing as a bad meditation. If you understand what's going on, there's no such thing as a bad meditation. If you sit down for your little 15 minutes or whatever you do, and your mind says, drives you crazy, and you get up and you call me and say, Mickey, you're wrong. I had a terrible meditation. What do you mean? My mind wouldn't shut up. It wouldn't shut up for 1 second. It just ran from one thing to the other, and no matter what I did, it didn't shut up. You just talked about what your mind did while you were watching it. See the difference? You weren't lost in it. You were noticing it didn't shut up. How do you know it didn't shut up? I'm asking you, how do you know it didn't shut up? Eventually you'll look at me and say, because I'm in here and I saw it. You who's in there that saw it not shut up is the highest thing that ever walked the face of the earth. Where do you find out who you are? Nothing's high in here. It's all balderdash, okay? But that knows that it knows that it knows, that's called the self, the Atman, the soul, the spark of God. When the Bible says man was created in the image of God, they are talking about that. They are talking about your awareness of being. You who's in there that knows that you know is the same as when the burning bush told Moses, I am that I am that I am. Who do I say sent me? God. What's his name? I am that I am. You are that you are. Period. So I'm getting ahead of you, but just in case you can store that away somewhere, right? The Bible happens to tell the truth. So does the Gita. So does the Quran. So does the Kabbalah. You will find out someday that you were created in the image of God. What does that mean? It means that you, the consciousness, will get pulled back to the source of your being, which is universal. And you will experience yourself as eternal and universal. That is what Christ meant by my Father and I are one. That is where Yogananda went in his chapter on cosmic consciousness. That is what's meant by self-realization. That is where Buddha went into nirvana. It didn't take his body with him. He didn't take his mind with him. He didn't take his heart with him. It was just the awareness of being. There's just being. And I'm telling you, when you reach that state that you're not drawn down into the mind, into the heart, and into form, you're not renouncing. They're just not interesting enough. So they don't, it's like a TV show. Sometimes you get sucked in, sometimes you don't. You know? It's an advertisement. Not hard to, all right, be back on the couch when the ads come on, is it? When the commercials come on. When you get that way, now I'm going to go where I want to go. When you get that way about your mind, it is an effortless thing to return to your couch and notice what's going on around you when a commercial comes on. It's just something totally uninteresting to you. You come right back to where you are, right? Because it's not drawing your awareness into it. It is exactly the same with the mind. When the mind no longer interests you, when your own personal melodrama seems rather boring, just like a commercial, you will find that you stay naturally in a seat behind the mind. Why? Because that's where you are. You are looking at the mind. Well, if you're not interested in what the mind is saying, it does not draw you into it. If you're not interested in what your heart is doing, it does not draw you into it. If you're not interested in what the world is doing, it doesn't draw you into it. And first I'm going to tell you, none of you are interested in what the world is doing. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about transcending the world. You're totally transcendent to the world. Why? You are only interested in what happens to your mind and heart when the world does something. If your mind and your heart don't change when the world does something, you're fine. It's because somebody or something did something or didn't do something, or you heard something and your mind reacted and it caused an attraction or a repulsion and you felt a change in your heart. Now you want to look at the world, don't you? How attached are you to the cars driving by on a highway or the trees that you're driving past? Having trouble not looking at them? How about the white lines? You stored a whole bunch of those? Can you tell me about the white lines you saw in North Carolina last year? No, they don't draw your consciousness into them. And because they don't draw your consciousness into them, you're not attached to them. You know, anything like that. They just come and they go. If you were thinking about your 5 years ago boyfriend when the white lines were going by, guess what's happening? You're still thinking about your 5 years ago boyfriend. The white lines are not distracting you. They are not drawing your consciousness out. The same with the cars driving by, the same with the trees going by, the same with the clouds going by, until all of a sudden a cloud goes by that looks like your grandfather. Whoa! Now we're no longer thinking about the boyfriend from 5 years ago. Your consciousness is being distracted by that which interests it the most. How's that? And that's happening every moment of your life. You're sitting there talking to somebody, it's kind of interesting, all of a sudden something on the TV that's more interesting. You're not talking to that person anymore. You don't even know they're there. This is what happens. So your awareness of being is always there. That's not the question. The question is, what is it aware of and how addicted, distracted by that is it? I'm starting from the opposite, and I usually start down and work you up. I'm starting up this time. I am telling you, when you are no longer interested in your own melodrama, it won't be able to pull your consciousness into it. It's just white lines going by. If it doesn't pull your consciousness into it, where is your consciousness? In the seat of consciousness. It doesn't leave. It doesn't leave its center of consciousness in order to focus on something that distracted it. You are now have returned naturally to the seat of consciousness. And that's how I want you to get there. I don't care about all these spiritual experiences and you went to some retreat. You can, I'm not knocking it or anything like that. But, I went on a weekend and I saw a blue pearl. Right? I am interested in you. I would like you to go into a state that you have transcended your mind. What does that mean? It talks, it says things, it's crazy. Well, how you feel about it? I don't listen. It's like the white lines. I know it's just noise. It doesn't matter what it's saying, right? And the same thing with your heart. That one's hard for you, but you'll see when I finish. Your personal heart. It can't distract you away from the seat of self. If that happens, and pray that someday it will for 1 minute to you, right? You will find that you are the most beautiful thing that ever walked the face of the earth. That is what self-realization is. It realizes, OMG, whoa, right? You're going to put it this way. There is a river of joy flowing within you. Find it, go there, get in, and drown. Merge with it. And all of a sudden you realize you ain't limited to this body, you aren't limited to these senses, you're not limited to watching this stupid mind, you're not limited to no more than you're limited to watching the TV. You are not limited to watching the TV. You have a whole house and a big outside you can go play, right? But not while you're stuck in the TV. If what's then going on that TV is so interesting to you, it is going to keep your consciousness there. Your consciousness is going to be attracted to, distracted by, addicted to that which you are most interested in. The day that it can no longer do that objects can no longer do that to you, it's a very, very high state. But the day that you reach that state is the day you will wake up and realize there's beauty inside of me. Not in the mind. Not that things happen nice that were beautiful. There's beauty inside of me, beyond comprehension. And it's always there, and it never stops. Wave upon wave of ecstasy pouring through your being, every moment of your life. That's what Christ meant when he said, man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that leaveth the mouth of the Father. It is not that you're being fed because of the objects that are coming in or pleasing to you. It is that what's going on inside of you, not your mind, you who's watching, is so beautiful. It's the pure flow of spirit. Shakti, I call it Shakti. I'm a yogi, all right? But other people call it spirit. That's fine. This is always going on inside of you. So the spiritual journey is very straightforward. It is to attain that state. Your state of being, your natural state of being, is what you want. Everything you're trying to get in a relationship, everything you're trying to get with money, everything you're trying to get with pleasing people, with being accepted, with having a career, with feeling special, every single one of those things is what you're trying to do is put your consciousness on a mental state and an emotional state that is pleasing to you so they don't disturb you so that you can feel yourself. When you're in the arms of your beloved, your eyes are closed. All right? That's why people like love, because by being in that state where everything's matching your mind, it's matching your heart, etc., everything you don't have to worry about, all of a sudden you start to fall back into yourself, don't you? Ever fall back in there? Kind of nice, isn't it? That experience you're experiencing is a momentary conditional state of feeling the beauty of your own being. Where do you feel love? On your nose? In your hand? You feel it inside because it's inside of you. That love is you. You are love. You are beauty. You are brilliance. You are joy. You are ecstasy. You are enthusiasm. You are passion. You're it. All right. So you see you're the highest being that walks the face of the earth, and even at that state you haven't gone anywheres because at some point it's going to start to pull you back into it. You came from somewheres. Where's your consciousness come from? That's the great question. And as you fall back into the source of your being, which cannot be done by thinking. If you're thinking, you're paying attention to the mind. It's sort of like you're sitting on the couch, you're completely lost in the TV, and I walk in the room, I say, you do have a wife and family somewheres. You've been sitting and watching the TV for 6 hours. You need to wake up and find yourself and find your house and your family. And you say, are they on the other channel? And you get closer to the TV and you look for them. That's not going to get you anywhere, is it? That's what happens if you try to seek the source of self by looking in the mind. That's why thoughts can't help you. The very fact that you're looking at them means you're not exploring the source of your being. There's a line in the Third Zen Patriarch, which is very deep, one of the deepest writings ever, a treatise on faith mind. That's the one that starts off, the great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. One of the deepest things ever written. There's a line that says, to seek the non-discriminating mind with the discriminating mind is the greatest of follies. Now that's Zen. Zen talks about the seat of self as a higher mind, as clear mind, as void mind, instead of God. But net result is to seek the non-discriminating mind, meaning the mind that's not creating thoughts, the mind that sees everything as whole, clarity. You understand that? The oneness. To seek that by watching the discriminating mind, by watching the mind that's creating thoughts and thinking about them, is the greatest of folly. Can you understand that? It will help you get there by understanding. All right? Because you'll see, kind of like see your pathway. So if the mind is thinking about God, you can't move any further away from God. It is only by letting go, by being willing to fall back into the seat of awareness, that you will start to directly experience, not believe, directly experience the divine. You experience Shakti, you experience spirit, and it pulls you into it, and it's so filled with love. That's why you love God. Not because you were told to, but because you actually return to the source of love. You've heard God is love. That's what it's talking about, all right? As you fall back in there, you get to know the nature of the creator of the universe. Why? You're part of it. You were created in that image. You can fall back into it. So that's the high state. Now let's talk about going down. Why? Because we're not there. So let's at least find out in slow motion how we fall out of that state, and that will show you how to get back. You understand that? It's like you take your road back, work your way back. So what happens is, because the thoughts in your mind interest you, most people don't even know about the state I just told you about. They've never had an experience. So because the mind is so addictive, it is so interesting, it is so full of your own little personal drama, that you listen to every word it says. You go to a party, you've been looking forward to it. You go in, and all of a sudden your mind says, I'm not comfortable. I see Sally's here, and I don't want to see Sally. I don't want to be here. I want to leave. You actually leave. That's the most amazing thing I ever heard of in my life. You actually leave the party that you were looking forward to because your mind said, I don't want to be here. It could have said, oh, I like it here. You would have been much better off. It's just a stupid thought. Has you ever watched your mind change its mind? It just sits there and starts talking. No, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. Paul's going. Oh, if Paul's going, I want to go. Like, holy mackerel. I can't, it makes me laugh my head off. You're going to listen to that thing? That thing's nuts, isn't it? I want to ask you a question. Does it know what it's talking about? If it knows what it's talking about, why does it keep jumping back and forth? No, yes, no, yes, okay, we're going to do yes. Nah. It's so cute. Indecision is one of the most spiritual states you will ever be in if you're wise. Why? Because what does indecision mean? My mind doesn't know. If it knew, it would tell you. Well, should I go on a vacation to Hawaii or Alaska? See, that's how much it knows. One's hot and one's really cold. It can't make up its mind. You want to know why it can't make up its mind? Because it doesn't know. Why would it know? Why would it know? It hasn't been there yet. It hasn't experienced it yet. All it can do is watch the things on the web. Would I like that? Seems like I might like that. No, it looks awful cold. I don't like that. It's like it's trying to figure out whether it's going to like it because it doesn't know. All right. So this is what it means to listen to the mind. What you'll see is as follows. I've tried everything, but I found the things that really works is what Buddhists call right understanding. If you can understand, it's one thing for me to tell you don't listen to your mind, right? But it's hard. Mind's very persuasive, isn't it? But if we talk about why did the mind say what it said? Why did it say I don't want to be here? Why did it say I like her? Why did it say, well, I'm not so sure I like her? Why is it saying those things? I'm not making it say it, are you? Did you decide, okay, I think I'll be neurotic today. First I'll make the mind say, yes, I want it really bad. Then I'll have the mind say, no, I don't think I want it. Then I'll have it say, I do want it. Are you in there pulling the strings, making it say that stuff? The answer is not a chance in the world. It's doing it all by itself, isn't it? Those thoughts are creating themselves. That mind's in there doing its own thing, isn't it? It just starts thinking and changing and doing this stuff. Oh my God. You're just in there addicted to it, watching it. Why does the mind say what it says when it says it? You have patterns that have been stored in your mind from your past experiences. You met a Ben once. He was really attractive. You went on one date, and somehow his family moved, he moved. So you got real nice stuff in there about Bens. All of a sudden, somebody wants to hook you up with a blind date. I don't feel like going on. What's his name? Ben. Okay. Believe it or not, as embarrassing as that is, that's where the okay came from. You have data stored in your mind based upon your past experiences. That's all that's in there. You can't have stored in there what you never experienced. So you've stored this past data, and now what's happening is the outside world is unfolding, and it is stimulating that past data. And so it is bringing up yes, no, like, dislike, blah, blah, blah. All right? That's all. That's pretty simple, isn't it? Somebody hurt you. You were dating somebody in high school, and it was the prom, and they dumped you on the prom, and you had bought a really special dress and all this kind of stuff. I've literally had people tell me that since high school, whenever prom season comes along, they get depressed. It leaves impressions in you. Your past experiences do. Do you understand that? I'm telling you, if you had an experience where your boyfriend, girlfriend was supposed to go home at a certain time, and they didn't, and they were 15 minutes late, and you were all worried about it and thinking about it, and they came home, and when they came home, they had balloons and clowns. This is our 17-and-a-half-day anniversary. Oh, I didn't miss it. I wanted to make a big deal because my father did it to my mother at 17.5 days, and they fell in love, and he told me about it, so I wanted to do it with you. Weird. So he's got his impression. He's bringing that impression to you. I guarantee you that next time you're in a relationship and somebody doesn't show up for 15 minutes, you will be excited waiting to see what's going to happen. The mind is the sum of your learned experiences. There is nothing holy about this. There's nothing divine about this. There's nothing spiritual about this. Except for you, who's watching it, you are spiritual. It's not spiritual. It's just like a computer's not spiritual. It's just spitting back the data that was put in it. So all this noise about trying to figure things out and what do I want and what should I do and blah, blah, blah is you, the consciousness, going to the mind to say, I don't know what the heck's going on. You figure it out. And the mind should just say, I don't know anything, leave me alone. But it doesn't. It's like your servant that says, okay, I'll try. And then it tries everything on. You sit there and try to see, if I go here, will I like it? No, because it reminded you of some bad experience you had. And that's all that's going on. It's just a bunch of data from the past. And you're trying to, what did Christ say? Don't build your house on sand. That's a little looser than sand. How can you build your life based on that? And the answer is, it's not very solid, is it? Come on, you're in there. You can change on a dime, can't it? Right? So you can't live with that. You went there to find solidity. You went there to figure things out so you could be okay. But it's not okay because it's a mess. It's got all these different impressions. Nobody said they line up. One thing happened nice with the color blue. The other thing happened terrible with the color blue. Do you like blue or not? I don't know. Sometimes, it gets weird, right? So you're trying to build your house on something that is so loose. It's not even there. It's just thoughts. They have no solidity at all. Do you understand that? But you don't like that. You don't like that it has no solidity. That's not comfortable to you. You went there for solidity. You literally went into the mind to find out how to be okay. You went into the mind to find out what you're supposed to do to be okay, didn't you? And it's not giving you a good answer. So you then use your will to build what I call false solidity inside your mind. This is my husband. This is my child. He gets A's. This is my car. Nobody sits on it. And this is my parking spot. Everybody leaves it for me. This is my job. This is my boss. This is my underling. This is how many people report to me, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You got it all figured out, don't you? Tomorrow we're going sailing. It's not going to rain. You're just doing things with your mind to try to create solidity. And then you stand in that. Well, what happens when the child who's supposed to get straight A's got a B? How you doing? You're freaking out. That's why. It has nothing to do with the child. Don't tell me, oh, I just want him to have his best shot. He's in 4th grade, but they look back to the 4th nowadays in Harvard, right? No, don't you dare think like that. You have built a self-concept. Ever hear that word? What a self-concept is a false sense of self that you built within your mind. That's where concepts are they not? Concepts aren't out here. Real things are out here. Concepts are in your mind. So you built in your mind out of thoughts. You went in there, you're not comfortable, you're lost in there because you lost your sense of self. So you're looking into the mind for solutions because it's got all the answers, right? And since it doesn't have all the answers, you weave together out of thoughts, you build this seemingly solid concept of self. I'm the person that's good at bowling, but I'm not good at ping pong. I'm the person that can play the guitar, but I can't play the piano. And I'm very good at the guitar. You build a concept of yourself out of past experiences, and you try to make it solid. You convince everybody, you have to sell yourself. If you say you're good at the guitar, and you tell all your friends, you better get everybody to agree. Otherwise, it's like an attack on your personal being. You freak out. This is your husband. All of a sudden, he's dancing with somebody a little too close. How you doing? That close is okay, but that close, no. It's like you got lines in there, don't you? Does it fit your self-concept? Does what fit your self-concept? Reality. Reality is still out there doing its thing. It comes in through your senses, and you can't experience it because you got a way it needs to be. And you got a way it better not be. I'm not going to go too far. I don't want to scare you. But do you see that? Do you indeed have a way built inside of you that the world better be when you look at it? And if it ain't that way, there's some suffering going on. And if it is that way, there's some lovey-dovey going on. And that's all that's going on. And every one of us are different. Why? We all built different self-concepts. Why? Because we all had different experiences. Everybody. When you were young, you had to wear glasses. And you felt awkward and weird. So now you hate that you have to wear glasses. You're the first person to put contacts on. You can't believe anybody would wear glasses. When you were young, you got hired at 5 years old to play a TV role, and they put glasses on. Oh, you were so accepted. It was so beautiful. You loved glasses. You would never wear contacts. I don't know what's the matter with these people. They look so good. It left impressions on you. It has nothing to do with you. Nothing. But you took these good and bad experiences and built a concept of yourself made out of those experiences. I'm the one that likes this and I don't like that. No, you're not. You're the one who watches your mind say, I like this and I don't like that. You do notice it saying it, don't you? Okay. That is spirituality, is you make the shift from living inside your mind, where you built this false solidity, to being the one who's noticing. That's witness consciousness. Now, I showed why you're lost. Now I showed you your way back, didn't I? Someday you will understand when I say to you, you need to be able to sit in there comfortably with the mind saying whatever it says, and you couldn't care less. Because it doesn't know what it's talking about. It's just trying to build something out of your past experiences, and it has nothing to do with what's going on now. So good luck. And now you're out there trying to make what's happening now match what you made up. That gets so funny, I can't even talk about it. It's bad enough you made up a concept of yourself that will make you be okay and that you think you are, and that which you shouldn't be. But now the world is unfolding. That's not okay with you. It better unfold in accordance to what you want and not unfold the way you don't want. All right? A wise being does not play that game. They, one, don't go into the mind to try to find themselves. Why? You're the one who's watching the mind. There's not a thing the mind can say that's you. You're the one who watched it say it. Do you understand that? You're not going to find which channel are you in the TV? None. Okay, don't be changing channels to find yourself. Be aware that you're the one who's watching every single channel you change. That's who you are, isn't it? I'm telling you, it's exactly the same inside. You are the one who is watching the mind come up with concepts and views and opinions and preferences and hopes and dreams and all that mental stuff and trying to live in there. You've tried to build a bed in there. That's so cute. Because I know you hear me. This is so clear. Can I quote you? See, Christ was very high. Christ once said, birds of the air have nests, foxes of the earth have holes, but the Son of Man hath not where to lay his head. Everybody's trying to build their home somewheres. inside the mind or out here, right? You try to build a house in there, don't you? You're busy with a self-concept, looking into your mind, trying to find yourself. But the Son of Man, the wise one, hath not where to lay his head. You're not trying to do that. You're comfortable in the state of your own being, not in the fact that your mind is getting what it wants, and so on. So everybody's doing this, which is why so few people are realized. Every single human being that walked the face of the earth is caught in their mind, aren't they? All right? It's just, they've just got different stuff going on. So the only way you're really going to get out permanently, clearly, totally, becoming established in the seat of self, is that you're capable of sitting in there with the mind saying whatever it has to say, and it's just, you done yet? I just, God, I've heard that before. That's how you are with that kind of mind. It's like, you need to talk about Sally and how she left you 5 years ago. So let's play the violin, man. You played that tape so many times. You really expect me to listen? I just think I'd rather do a mantra. I'd rather sing God's name, right? You lose interest in the drama. Where's it going to take you? Where does something that happened to you 5 years ago that doesn't exist anymore going to take you? Nowheres. Why are you doing that? Because I'm not comfortable with myself. I need to build a place within my mind that's more comfortable, and then I go hang out there, right? You get older. I remember when I was 20. Remember when we were 20? And we used to go off and, what are you doing? You're not 20 anymore. What the heck are you doing saying my best years when I was 20? That's because you keep going back there and they don't exist anymore. Would you like to take photographs and motion pictures of every nice experience you had so that when you're older, instead of having more, you can live in the past and look back and try to get Shakti or good feelings from what happened before? It's called be here now. Be here now. I don't care how old you are. The joy comes from the consciousness. It has nothing to do with age. It has nothing to do with anything. The joy is in your own being. If the only time you're going to open up is if you go back to a situation that made you feel good before, you're not living your life anymore. You're trying to hide in the past. You're trying to recreate situations from the past. A wise being does the following work. I am the self. The mind has got some issues, right? And I've been trying to hide inside of a mind that's got issues. Not easy, is it? Not easy at all. Now let's throw the heart in. You have stored emotions inside your heart based on your past experiences, right? You hear somebody's name, ooh, heart does that, heart does that. Okay, it is the exact same thing. So you're trying to live in your psyche. I call the psyche the combination of mind and heart. The emotions and the mental patterns go hand in hand. And so you stored stuff from the past, which caused certain thoughts and caused certain emotions. And if they are nice, you try to go back there. You try to experience those emotions again. You try to go back. Let's go back on our honeymoon. We went to Niagara Falls 46 years ago. Now we're not getting along so well. Let's go back to Niagara Falls. We really were doing well then. Well, you were just married. You didn't even have time to get on each other's nerves. You don't honestly believe that by going back to Niagara Falls, now that you're fighting with each other, that somehow it's going to go back to the way it was 46 years ago. So what you're trying to do is recreate the situations that bring back up the energy that you enjoy from the past. That is a very futile and silly thing to do. What you should be doing is opening up to the present so that you can experience the joy now. That's what be here now means, being mindful. But instead, people are all caught up in all this garbage that they stored inside. Spirituality is about cleansing. Spirituality is about letting go of this stuff so that you can wake up, be the awareness of being that you are, and start to experience the spontaneous joy of love, ecstasy, Shakti, spirit that is always inside of you. People say, why don't I feel it? Because you're looking at your mind and your heart. You're completely addicted to staring. Like somebody who's on drugs. I say, but no, you don't have to do drugs. You can be really happy. Well, why aren't I? Because you're on drugs. You've drugged yourself. How can you feel the natural state if you're busy doing it the other way? So you need to come to a place, and I'm going to give you the ultimate goal, and you figure out how to get there. You come to a place where this is it. I am in here watching my mind. Does your mind sometimes complain? Sure, of course it does. It's got patterns. Does that bother you? No. What do I care? It's raining out. The mind says, I wanted to go sailing. I look at it. What do I care what the mind says? It's the most irrelevant thing in the world, isn't it? It says it's taking you to a nice place. I'm guaranteeing you it is what takes you away from the nicest place. There is nothing higher than you. There is nothing higher in the universe than self, than soul, Atman, consciousness. It is the source of everything. And when you return back to that seat and then fall backwards, you will find what all the great ones found. You will find what it's all about, what Christ was talking about, what Buddha was talking about. It's right inside of you. But if you're going to sit there and play this game with this mind and this heart, that the only time I can be okay if I'm resting on a mind and a heart that are okay, tell me how you're doing, because it ain't going to be too good. Why? Seems perfectly reasonable. If my mind is doing well and my heart is doing well and I'm resting on them, then I'm doing well. The trouble is somebody doesn't call, somebody does call, your car gets a flat tire, you lose your job, somebody gets sick. All kinds of things go on. Your mind is not going to stay fine and your heart is not going to stay fine, is it? You've been around the block. So if you built your house inside of something that is completely conditional upon every single second having to be the way you want it to be for the mind to be okay or the heart to be okay, you lose. If you want to be happy, if you want to feel joy, if you want to feel the most love you could ever feel, you can't do it by living inside the mind and the heart and then trying to make everything match what they need for them to be okay. You'll be neurotic. You'll be anxious. That's where stress comes from. So the answer is to let go. The answer is to practice on a daily basis. Events are going to unfold outside. Have you noticed? And 99.9% of them have nothing to do with you. The weather, other people's attitudes, everything. There's just a world unfolding. Can you handle that? That's spiritual growth. Can you handle that something unfolded and then your mind did its little thing about it? I don't like it, I like it, right? Can you just look at the mind and say, I ain't living there anymore. Not suppress it, not get mad at it, just relax, relax, relax. If you do not get involved in the mind, it will not continue. Don't listen. But I want to be true to myself. Then be true to yourself. Don't be true to this past stored garbage that you build inside your head, right? That false system of solidity. Be true to the consciousness who's watching this. Always relax and fall back there. Notice, I am the one who's watching this. Right? I am the one who's watching. People sometimes say to me, but isn't that mind? That's a higher layer of mind helping you extricate yourself from the lower layer. Nothing wrong with it. You're not going to get out all at once. You walk your way out. So if it's saying, I don't know if I love him, you just sit there and say, I love him. I've watched you. You've been doing that since I was in high school. Ruining every relationship I was ever in. You ain't touching this one, baby. That's how you talk to the mind, all right? That's a higher mind working your way out of the lower mind. It is a heck of a lot easier to let go of that mind, the one that just said, I'm fine, I don't need this, right? That's what we call sattvic mind. It's easier to let go of than to let go of the one, I don't know. Sally and Fred got divorced, and I hadn't thought about it, but maybe we're not doing so well either. I mean, all our friends are getting divorced. And OMG, what are you doing allowing those thoughts to go on in your mind? So what you do is learn to relax and release. Relax and release. What about the emotions? Exactly the same. There is nothing holy about your personal emotions. Make your mind say, I don't like him. Your heart feels like I don't like him. Make your mind say, ooh, this could be the most perfect person in the world. Your heart will open up. The mind's running your heart. And so are your past experiences. The only place that's safe, the only place that's beautiful is in the self. You just keep letting go. And what happens over time, those energies that were playing around down here transmute. They come up to you and you become stronger and stronger until someday you don't have to do a single thing. You will never, ever leave that seat. You're established in that seat. The mind can say anything it wants. The world can do anything it wants. The heart can do anything it wants. And you're right there watching it. Been there, done that, seen it before. I ain't going in there, right? And all of a sudden, you start feeling the joy of your own being. And that, you'll never leave that. You'll never, ever leave that. All right? Because it's the most beautiful experience you ever had, and it's free of charge. All right? And you'd be an idiot to leave ecstasy to get involved in garbage. So that's your work. That's a work of a lifetime. But you might as well go for the highest. You can still get married. You can still have kids. You can still go business, right? It's just you're not doing that for the purpose of being okay. You're doing this for the purpose of being okay. And then that's your playtime. Okay? It's fun. The things I'm doing while I'm working on myself. All right. Very good. Thank you for listening to these things. Jagrath.